Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for joining me. This is the Morning Market Review. It's Tuesday and it's the 15th of August. My name is Russell Shaw. I'm a Senior Market Specialist at FXCM. I just want to highlight my email address for you, rshaw@fxcm.com. So if you'd like to correspond, that's the email address to send it through to. Just going to go ahead and bring up our disclaimers. We'll start off with a high-risk investment warning. I'll keep this on screen for a few moments. Good morning, Raj. Thank you very much for joining. Pleasure to have you on the webinar. Okay, let's just bring up our commentaries disclaimer. Again, I'm going to keep this on screen for a few moments. And we saw the Chinese authorities loosening monetary policy, the most since 2020. We'll take a look and see what kind of effect that's having on the market. Here is our references, MarketScope 2.0 in tradingview.com. Just going to go ahead and bring up MarketScope. Just want to take a look at the China 50. We'll do a top-down analysis. It's we don't look at it all that often, but I think it's worth keeping an eye on it. Just the fact of the matter is that China is going through a fairly tough time. Country Garden, a big property company, has missed some bond payments, and it's a big deal. There is risk of contagion, and the Chinese data generally coming in weak. We've seen disinflationary forces coming in on the consumption side, on the production side, and now the monetary authorities, the PBOC, responding. When we take a look at the China 50, we're looking at the monthly chart here. The green exponential moving average is a 5 period, so 5 month. The orange exponential moving average is our 10-month, and then we've got an RSI. And by and large, we're moving sideways. So no trend that is discernible. What we can take away from the indicators is, well, the momentum is under 50. Under 50 is on the bearish side of the indicator. So if it's on the bearish side of the indicator, there does seem to be a pressure to the downside. Not surprising then that we have the green exponential moving average below the orange exponential moving average. And if you just take a look at the last candle, they're starting to angle. They're starting to angle downwards. So there's pressure that's starting to be applied on the China 50. If we do a top down, well, then the next time frame you're going to go through to is the weekly time frame, just to look at it at a more granular type of level. So we'll go through to the weekly, and let's clean this up. Let's start from the beginning here. So it broke out of this downwards channel. There was talk of expansionary policy already going back three and a half weeks or so. That's this big movement up here. But since then, the data out of China, as I say, really disappointing, to the point that it's fallen back below this 30-week exponential moving average. The 30-week exponential moving average, what direction is it? We use the direction of the moving average as a filter. You can see it's pointing down. So the fact that the 30-week pointing down, and we've got the dip here in the weekly RSI. So a small pop here, but it looks like it's been a whipsaw signal. China really doing it tough, isn't it? So there's this pop over here corresponding with the Politburo meeting where they suggested an expansionary policy. The expansionary policy now being undertaken. But if we take a look at the daily chart, and we really go granular here, okay, you can just see the damage that Country Garden has done. So it came out last Tuesday saying that it's missed payments. Yesterday, it came out saying that it's suspended trade in 11 bonds. And the fact of the matter is, it's really just pushing China 50 down to the point. If we take a look at this in terms of our zones, right? Our zones are Bollinger Bands. What we effectively have is a movement from zone 1. I'm just going to bring in an arrow here. A movement from zone 1, and it drops from zone 1 into zone 2. Zone 1 is the bullish zone, so it's dropping out of the bullish zone. It's going into the neutral area. Okay, so that's a relative movement to the weak side, and then it drops even further into zone 3. So the China 50 really just capitulating over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, around about the last 8 trading days. No surprise. Where's the momentum? It's below 50. Okay, so we'll just see how the China 50 responds to this expansion, this announcement in expansionary policy. But by and large, you can see that there does seem to be some downward element to it, moving sideways on a monthly, but with a slight bearish bias there. Okay. I want to go through to the US dollar now, and unfortunately, the US dollar also not trending. We stuck in a range here. We stuck in a range, and that's tough for us as traders. Until we get some sort of movement on dollar, I think life potentially going to be tougher for us. Why? Okay, it's because the dollar tends to be the first link in a chain of causality. And what tends to happen is if the dollar is moving, it influences majors, and it influences gold, it influences commodities. The fact that we're moving in this sideways direction, in this narrow band, well, that means that the force from the dollar side, the force from the greenback side is quite muted. And as we discussed yesterday, it means that the heavy lifting is done by either the base or the counter currency, depending which currency pair we're looking at. Let's go down to the weekly chart and let's do the peak and trough analysis. And what we can see here is we've got the reference peak, trough, lower peak, lower trough. This now is the higher peak that's come in, and that's effectively the end of the downtrend. A downtrend is defined by a lower peak followed by a lower trough. An uptrend is defined by a higher trough followed by a higher peak. So we've got neither. We've got neither at the moment. All we've got is the end of the downtrend. Effectively, what we have here is a trading range, and that's again going to be quite influential in the way that we trade. If we take a look, say, at the euro, remember the fact is that the US dollar now is trading sideways. We're stuck in a consolidation. What does that mean for us? So let's just say we're trading euro. Let's just bring up euro. Okay, it's just, if you take a look at the last 3 weeks, we really just gone sideways. So the volatility there is not really helping us, is it? It's just going sideways. And if you take a look, what we can do here is combine the last 2 candles just to get a sense of current sentiment with the euro US dollar. So we want to just combine the last 2 candles. Just before we do that exercise, it is worth noting that there is an uptrend on euro US dollar. It is a higher trough, higher peak. This is still, we're looking to see if this is a higher trough. It hasn't taken out the previous higher trough yet. So we're still potentially having a pullback here. It's just that the dollar now has stopped moving. And if the dollar has stopped moving, what we discussed yesterday is just remember, okay, the euro US dollar, take a look at the ticker of the euro US dollar. The euro is the numerator and the US dollar is the denominator. Well, the denominator has stopped doing work because it's moving sideways. So if it stopped doing work, the movement's coming from the euro side. So sort of from a dual force, it's now gone into a singular force. And again, that would be adverse for us traders. We really want the volatility as traders. Okay, that seems to be missing at the moment. Now, what I want to show you guys is a combination of these two candles over here. Let's call this candle 1, that's last week's candle, and this week's candle is candle 2. So we're going to combine candle 1 and candle 2 into one candle just to get an idea of the sentiment on the euro US dollar. So what we'll do is we need a range. So take the high of the two candles and take the low of the two candles. Let's connect those up. Okay. So we've got a range there, and then the open would be the open for last week. The close would be the close for this week. Now, just bear in mind, this close is still, it's an open candle. So we're working with an open candle here. But as it stands right now, we've got a spinning top. Can you guys see that? It's a spinning top. When we combine, and let's just actually change the colors here so we don't get confused. It's actually a red. It's actually a red real body. So what is a spinning top? Now we've combined 2 weeks into one candle. What's a spinning top? It's a candle of uncertainty. So let's just unpack this. The US dollar is not trending anymore, it's ranging. The fact that it's ranging means that all the work on the euro US dollar pair is being done on the numerator side, but the numerator side is uncertain as well. It's got a candlestick. Once we've combined the last 2 weeks, that is effectively a spinning top. What's a spinning top? It's a candle of uncertainty. Bulls try to take price up, bears try to take price down, but we're pretty much flat. Very small range candle over the last 2 weeks. So again, difficulty for us as traders. Why is it difficult for us as traders? Because the volatility is not there. Okay, the volatility is one of the explanations, by the way, might be because it's August. The Northern Hemisphere are taking their holiday and vacation breaks, and perhaps something happens when the vacation's over, when the holidays come back. But right now, it just seems to be quite tough to get that the volatility moving. Let's take a look at another two charts. Let's take a look at another 3 charts. Let's take a look at cable. Let's take a look at gold. Let's take a look at DAX. So let's just bring up cable. We'll do a combination of the candles as well. Cable does have the higher trough followed by the higher peak. This higher trough is almost being breached. You can see how close we've come to breaching the high trough. That would end the uptrend. But again, if I zoom in here, okay, and I combine candles 1 and candles 2, we take the range. Let's clean this up a little bit. Take the range. And here we've got a doji. Okay, so you take the open, okay, take the close, kind of got something like this. It's again a candle of uncertainty. Where's the volatility? Where's the trend over the last 2 weeks? There's no trend. There's a candle of uncertainty. Bulls trying to take price up, bears trying to take price down. We're flat over the last 2 weeks. It's much easier to trade a trend than it is to trade a consolidation. We seem to be in this consolidation period, in this these thin ranges, and that's affecting trading because we're not getting the current that we'd like to get. Let's take a look at gold. Again, let's combine the last 2 candles just to see the sentiment over the last 2 weeks. gold's different. Gold's actually looking quite bearish at the moment. There is some weakness that has snuck into gold. We're missing the lower trough. Okay, we've got a peak, trough. Here's the weakness, the lower peak, but we don't have the lower trough yet. I'll put it as question mark. And you can see when we actually combine the two candles, we get quite a bearish candle, don't we? It would kind of be something like this. And let's just make it red. So this is quite surprising. I tell you why it's surprising. I mean the precious metal, the yellow metal, gold, tends to move antithesis to the dollar. Remember, the dollar is not trending; it's ranging. Gold also ranging for now, but it's getting very close to starting a downtrend, and we just want to watch to see if it takes out that previous trough. The momentum pushing to the downside here. So the precious metal under pressure for the time being. Precious metal. Why is the precious metal under pressure? And it's because of what we call real yields. Real yields are pushing up. Okay, real yields pushing up over here. All right. Let's take a look at one more, and then we shall end the webinar. Let's just take a look at what's happening on DAX. We'll do a top-down analysis of DAX. Okay. Starting with the monthly chart, it does have an upwards bias. It's got the 5-month exponential moving average on top of the 10-month exponential moving average. And of course, we do have the RSI nicely above 50. Let's just go down to the weekly chart. Now, what's happening is that I think the best way to actually do this, let's take out the EMA here. And what we'll do is we'll put in a trend line, and we'll just draw the trend line from there to there. And the trend line doesn't measure a trend. What it does is it measures the speed of a trend. And we've got effectively the higher trough here validated by the higher peak. So I've drawn in the momentum line. And what's price doing? It's broken the momentum line. The momentum on the DAX is starting to move sideways. Okay, so again, we're getting this ranging issue where the DAX now is starting to range. And what we are effectively looking for here, let's clean the labels up here, is we're looking for some peak and trough analysis. And what we can do is we can put in a reference peak over here, a reference trough over here. We could put in the reference peak here. Once we've got the references, okay, now what we can start doing is we can start looking to see if there's a higher trough here. If there is a higher trough, it's not clear yet, then potentially some strength coming in. To get that higher trough, we'll need price to take out this level. Okay, this is a reference candle reversal. A reference candle reversal has 3 conditions. We've only got condition 1 out of 3. That's the lowest low in at least 3 candles. Condition 2 would be moving above the reference candle's high. Condition 3 is closing above the reference candle's high. We don't have condition 2 or 3, so we just want to keep an eye on that. And again, what kind of a candle is this week's candle? It's called an inside candle. It's inside the range of last week's candle. The bulls or the bears don't have the strength to take up the previous week's high or low, so we're stuck in the middle of no man's land here. So whilst there is an upwards bias on the primary trend monthly basis, it is no doubt that we've lost some momentum. And if we go down to the daily chart here, we're really hovering around zone 2. We're not quite in zone 2 yet. We're trying to get into zone 2. Zone 2 is our zone of neutrality. So DAX at the moment looking quite flat. It's quite flat. just over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, last 8 trading days. And we just want to see if we can get this higher trough in. This actually should be HT question mark. Okay, that's where we'll leave it for this morning. If there's any questions, please go ahead and type those in. Any questions, go ahead, type those in. Tomorrow, we're going to do 2 webinars. We'll do the morning market review and we'll do the crypto minute as well. Okay, so join me for that, please. No questions coming in. So is that a 30-period moving average? Yeah, on the weekly chart, we use a 30-period exponential moving average, Raj. Exactly right. All right, guys, let's wrap up here. Thanks very much for joining me, and have a good day, good evening. Looking forward to speaking with you tomorrow. Cheers, guys.